Greetings, friends, and welcome to a very special edition of Mark's Vinyl Collection. This is my special Canada Day video. So on this day, here, July 1st, 2017, I will be going through some of my favorite Canadian bands and the vinyl albums that I have from them. So, without any further ado, let's get to it. So, of course, what kind of Canadian would you be if you don't like Rush? So, first off, Rush, Fly By Night. This is the band's second record. The first with Neil Peart on drums. This, to many people's surprise, is my favorite Rush album. I love it. It's a absolutely stellar record. It has some great hard rock and some great progressive stuff in it. This is the Anthem Records pressing of it. The reason why I love this particular pressing of it is because this is what is known in collector circles as the Gilbert Kong pressing. Gilbert Kong was a pretty popular mastering engineer, and if you have a album cut by him, particularly a Rush record, either Fly By Night or Crest of Steel or something like that, you will have a most excellent sounding record. So that's number one. Number two, many people consider this band to be a sort of wannabe Rush in many ways. They came close in many aspects, but I don't think they ever came close to being as good as them, but I still love them very much. And this, to me, is probably one of their more stronger records, and that, of course, is Triumph. This is an album called Allied Forces. I don't remember if this is their fifth record. I'm not 100% certain. It is a really good record, lots of good songs on here. Obviously, Fight the Good Fight, and Allied Forces, the song Magic Power, which is, of course, was a huge radio hit for them. And you gotta love Rick Emmett's Montreal Canadiens hockey jersey he's wearing there. Again, this is Canadian pressing, if I'm not mistaken. Here, yeah, this is on Attic, which is a Canadian record label. Here, I don't think there's anything particularly special about this one. It was cut at the lacquer channel. You have TLC there in the dead wax, so that does indicate the lacquer channel with a T beside it. Now, I'm not entirely certain what that T beside the lacquer channel indicator means. And I keep rubbing the sleeve up against the mic, so pardon me for that. But yeah, Triumph, again, they were a pretty popular band in America as well, which was pretty rare at some points for Canadian bands to have that much popularity in America. They had a fantastically huge stage show, and they were one of the most interesting bands in one way. I remember reading their biography early on when I was first getting into music, and they were one of those bands that refused to open for other acts. In fact, they wouldn't play concerts once they formed until they were allowed to be the headlining act, because they never wanted to compromise their stage show. So there's an interesting little fact about Triumph. Okay, next up is a band I'm sure many of you have never heard of. Maybe even in Canada, lots of you have never heard of them. I've only just recently discovered them by finding this excellent channel on YouTube. It's a all prog album sort of channel, and lots of unknown bands from all over the world. And I found this band. Where is it here? Yeah, Heads in the Sky. Now, this is really, really cool progressive rock. Now, they are independent, and it literally took me contacting the guitar player's son from this band, finding out if there's any vinyl copies of this available, and pretty much searching it out. I had to do a real big Discogs hunt for it, and ended up finding a vinyl copy of it. And it sounds great. It's a very, you can tell it's an independent release. but it is a really, really good album. If you have a chance to find this record, take it from me, if you trust my opinion on this, this is a really good progressive rock record. If you like Genesis and that sort of era stuff, Marillion and stuff like that, you would really like this record. It's fantastic. Now we're going to get to a band that I really love, and a band that was notorious for touring with Rush a lot. And just as they were getting to the point of where they were breaking in with the markets around the world, their lead singer decided to call it quits. He left the band high and dry in the middle of a gig, went home. That guitar player singer is known as Kim Mitchell, and the band that he was in is Max Webster. Now, I love these two albums I'm going to show you. This is A Million Vacations, one of the greatest Canadian summer party rock albums of all time. I don't think many albums can match that as far as summertime vibe. You want a good party record? You're looking at it. Paradise Skies, Million Vacations. There's all kinds of great stuff on this. Night Flights is incredible. Let Go of the Line, that was another huge radio hit here. Yeah, I mean, what a great record. And if memory serves me correctly, let me get this out. This is a Anthem press, as they were, of course, on the same label as Rush. These two bands were like, joined at the hip at one point, I thought. There you have Million Vacations, Anthem. Now, if I take a look here in the Dead Wax, I'm pretty sure, yes, this is a master disc, mastering by Robert Ludwig. This record sounds really good. I mean, you want to talk about a loud, like, punchy party record. Like, the drums on this record sound incredible. Like, Robert Ludwig, yeah, let me just put this back in. There, sorry. Robert Ludwig did a really stellar job on this album. I really thought he did a great job on this, and it's a record that I listen to quite a lot, especially nowadays in the summertime. And one more from these guys. This was the last record that they did before they split, and a lot of people will know this record for a few songs, but most notably, if you take a look at the song credits, you'll see at the bottom of side A, there's a song called Battle Scar. And if I can kind of focus in on this, you'll notice there's a thank you to Neil Peart, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and actually performance credits from them, because there's on the song Battle Scar, it is a duet with Max Webster. Now, if you take a look at the inside there, you'll see at the very top there in the black where it says, oops, I hate doing this with this stupid camera. Okay. Yeah, you'll see there, Rush, Max Webster starring in Battle Scar, right above that kind of Donald Duck dude on top there. Yeah, so this is a really good album. In the World of Giants is good. There's another great song on here called Check. That's really good, really hard hitting. And let me take a look at here, see if there's anything extra to make note of. This is another master disc, but it doesn't have any indicator of who did it, I don't think. Master disc, no. I'm gonna guess it's probably Ludwig again, because he was notorious for working on Max Webster stuff around this time. So may not be. There are other great people from Master Disc as well, I'm sure, but I'm gonna take a guess and say that was who did this. Now, to close off this segment, now people who live in Canada are probably gonna get the joke with this pick, but this is sort of a, how do I put this? Not a holy grail, but this is a record that most Canadians true Canadians who love their beer and their bacon and their rock and their Rush music and stuff will have this record, mainly because of something that was on TV before called SCTV, which was a comedy show, Second City Television, and these two guys were one of the stars, or the comedy act of that show. I'm talking about Bob and Doug McKenzie and the Great White North. Anybody who's listened to my Yes Music podcast, I'm in my album review segment, kind of quotes the Great White North in the intro. Now, if you take a look, the back. Now, how Canadian is that? Those stubby beer bottles. And if you take a look at that picture there, this one here, that's Geddy Lee. And he's the one who's singing the song. If I see if I can get it in here. Of course, you can't see it. Well, what I'll do... Oh, wait a minute. Here's the song credits. Here's the song titles, I mean. Of course, you can hardly see it. Piss off. Okay, you know what? I'll just take out the record. So, of course, my camera, my lighting don't want to work, of course. So, again, this is on Anthem. And you'll see song 5. Take Off. That's like a Canadian slang from back in the day. Take off, you hoser. And that's the song that Geddy Lee sings on here. Take Off to the Great White North. If you're really anxious to hear it and don't want to go out and buy the record, I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube. So this is something that most Canadian guys my age and maybe a bit older will have in their collection, and it is a part of every great Canadian vinyl record collector's collection. So those are my favorites. You'll notice there's no Neil Young or no, I don't know, all these old guys that a lot of people seem to be posting on here, Guess Who's and all that stuff. That to me is not real Canadian music. This was real Canadian music to me. Okay, and maybe it's just my generation that was into that kind of stuff, but I know there's a lot of you out there who are probably listening to this who will probably agree with me that this was the real kick-ass stuff. So, for all of you out there, have a great Canada Day. And I know my American friends who are watching, you're having a July 4th coming up in a couple of days. So maybe I'll do my favorite American records that I have in my collection. But until then, have a safe and happy Canada Day to all of you. Mark Anthony K saying, bye for now.